Hello and welcome back to the High Growth Equation, where we explore the formula for channel partner success. I'm your host today, Lawrence Roberts, and we're going to be diving into something very, very topical. We're going to look at this fantastic term called NeoCloud. I'm delighted to introduce Bob Weppner, who is the AI VP for TD SYNNEX in North America. Bob, thank you. Lovely to have you here today.
Lawrence, I'm glad to be here and talk about what I think is a really exciting opportunity for our partners and their customers, for sure.
Now, you've got a super exciting role, super relevant right now, AI. Let's put some context behind today's conversation and just help explain a few things. So, generative AI adoption and AI adoption in general, it is accelerating so fast that actually the problem isn't the demand for AI. The problem is actually the infrastructure needed to run AI workloads. So
Absolutely.
Out of this pressure, we've seen this term NeoCloud emerge. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who aren't familiar with NeoCloud. So let's start by saying, what is a NeoCloud provider, and how is that different from, say, a traditional hyperscaler?
So that's a great question, Lawrence. And essentially, a neo cloud provider is, think of a data center that's just racks and racks and racks of the latest GPUs. When people understand the capacity and the power that the GPUs consume, traditional rack voltage is 208 volts. These are 415 volt. They also have liquid cooling. So it does create a challenge from a data center build out perspective. This really kind of arose from the need for compute. And when I mean compute, I mean AI, GPU availability. These companies are kind of like if you think about the carbon fiber industry. I happen to ride bikes, and Boeing and Airbus have a tremendous lock on carbon fiber. And it trickles down to the bicycle manufacturers who use just a small percentage. And these neo cloud providers are kind of like the Boeing for GPUs or the Airbus. They consume thousands and thousands of GPUs, but it gives them the ability to create that workload space where somebody can do the training and the modeling and the inferencing. This alleviates the GPU headache for end customers, but also they don't have to build up their own data centers. They don't have to spend, millions of dollars on infrastructure that maybe they just need to leverage for a short period of time.
So why are AI startups in particular turning to NeoCloud providers? What's in it for them? What's the appeal?
So, Lawrence, if you think about it, it's a couple of things. So, number one, this is a time to value conversation. They're getting access to these GPUs, and maybe a 90-day window instead of 180, 270, even 365 days based on where the current supply chain is. It's a predictable cost model for them. So the way this is built out is it's GPU dollars per hour. So that's what you pay. And you say, just for argument's sake, you're going to start with 128 or 256 GPUs. That's kind of like a beginning workload. And then you'll, reserve that for 6 to 12 months traditionally. And that's where they start. And again, now it's an OpEx motion instead of a CapEx motion. And they're not saddled with building out that data center. So they've got access to the data center. The hyperscalers, they're not really traditional competitors because they're not focusing on building out super dense GPU workloads. They've got access to GPUs, but it's not what they do, right? It's not their native motion. And they can be more expensive depending on how long the workload sits with that hyperscaler.
Let's try and attack the elephant in the room here, because we know that there is a shortage of chips. There is not enough power. Some real infrastructure issues, right? So are these NeoCloud providers, are they easing that shortage, or are they competing for the same supply?
That's a real good question, Lawrence. These NeoCloud providers, because they are kind of the behemoths in the industry, are providing capacity faster than the traditional route to market. So they're doing a good thing. Additionally, because of the software stacks they have, and some of our partners from an independent software vendor perspective, they're increasing the efficiency of that GPU stack that an end customer is consuming. So it's kind of a push pull, right? They're providing capacity, they're increasing efficiency, and they're addressing some of the other needs that just go beyond chips and memory and drives. In they've got the power and cooling figured out as well. Also, there's one cost that we really haven't considered here. There's a human element, so they're taking that cost out of the model by having their own teams that can manage your workload for you. You're not hiring additional staff and training them to be that that AI workload expert from a data center perspective.
Yeah, no, really great answer. Thank you. That's really helped me, Bob. Okay, that's brilliant. I'm going to jump on to the next question, Bob. So, are neoclouds, in your view, are they long-term competitors, or are they just a temporary solution?
So, long-term competitors, no. Again, their role is specialized AI-specific workloads. Like that's their I would say that's their strength, and that's really their go-to-market. And this is really GPU as a service. The neoclouds really fit where the industry's already gone in our traditional cloud. Methodology is hybrid, right? I mean, that's long-term, it's about a hybrid strategy. You decide where you want to train, and then ultimately you're going to decide where the data sits and where you're going to deploy those agentic apps in the future. And, again, the model of hybrid neocloud strategy is, I think it's going to become more and more commonplace as customers understand the opportunity here.
Yeah, that's really insightful. So, Bob, I mean, obviously in North America, you've got huge visibility of the market and thousands of partners. How are enterprises adjusting to limited AI compute access?
We talked about earlier, right? How do we get time to value? So when they're looking at their workloads, which ones provide the fastest ROI? Super critical and important to them. And how do they can leverage the neo clouds for burst training, controlled costs we talked about earlier, scaling, right? It's a fixed price GPU dollar per hour. And then also you can leverage the neocloud partners for those regional or sovereign requirements from a data perspective.
Perfect. Makes sense. So if I was a TD SYNNEX partner watching this video and I thought, yep, this is for me, I want to get started in exploring neocloud, where do I begin? How do I get started? Who do I reach out to?
Absolutely. So in North America, you start with me and my team. I've got colleagues across the globe, right? This will be really led by our AI business unit within the organization. And also our destination AI teams can certainly help. What we'd like to be able to do is continue to enable you and socialize you on the opportunity, but also ensure that you're connected with the right folks.
No, fantastic. So what we're seeing then is, just to wrap that up then, is that AI innovation is being limited and constrained by the infrastructure, not ambition. And you've seen that neoclouds are emerging to address real supply constraints so that we can run AI workloads. And so the future, and I think you touched on this really nicely, Bob, you talked about the future being sort of a hybrid, specialized, and ecosystem-driven future. So, Bob, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I really appreciate the time. I know how busy you are, but it's great to have your specialist expert knowledge on this. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence. This has been fun.
Thank you. Guys, stay tuned until the next episode of The High Growth Equation. Till then, take care. Thank you.